There you go.
How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
Perfect.
I think we're almost wearing matching colors.
Yeah, that's the first thing I noticed.
I was like, wow, I was like, we coordinated. We did this well.
I should have gone a little bit more colorful, but I
Yeah.
kind of
Well,
I
I'm
was very
excited.
impressed with the flamingos. It was flamingos, right? Yeah.
The flamingos got a lot of attention yesterday, so I was like, wow. I was like, you know, I'm always impressed by little things like that. You know, I was getting ready to put on my Little Mermaid T-shirt, but then I thought yesterday, I was like, no, I'll change it up. I'll do flamingos today. Uh, and then today, I was like, you know, let's go a little bit tropical since you're in the Dominican and all that kind of stuff to kind of set the mood. So kind of changed it up a little
I
bit.
don't do shirts, but I do hats. I got
I
all
know
these
you're the
Panama
hat.
hats in different colors and everything.
It's like you're continuing the Abo legacy. You and the
Well,
hat.
Avo was definitely, he had those made like mass produced. He would ship them all over the world. I'm pretty sure thousands of people have the Avo hat.
Well, I mean, he definitely set a trend. I mean, that was his signature. So, um, you know, it was great that you're kind of continuing that on because I know in the Dominican trip last year, you definitely had the hats rocking when we were outside in the fields and all that kind of stuff. So that
It's
was
a thing
definitely cool.
here. I mean, yes, it's for wear, it's for design, but I really use it for the sun more than anything. Like, there's an actual purpose to it. And the other reason why I use it is when the afro gets a little bit out of hand. I want to cover those curls sometimes. That morning hair is not great.
Yeah, luckily I don't have that problem usually. As long as I cut it, which I'm gonna have to cut it probably over the weekend, but that'll be fine. So, how have you been doing with this situation, this quarantine? I think you're the first person actually in the Dominican that I've speaking to, so be curious to hear how it's affecting you all there.
Well, in regards to work, very much like everybody else, working from home, most essential work has been limited, uh, and you can really just go out for the essential things. But I personally am not having that horrible of a time. I mean, I'm sorry, and I feel for those that have had a little bit of a harder time, but I personally can't complain. I would right now actually be in the United States or maybe some other part of the world. So me being in Dominican Republic is actually quite refreshing. I'm normally just here from January to March, and now March is ending, and I'm still here, and I'm gonna be here through April, and I can't leave. And I mean, again, it's a shame I can't be up there with the team and being even more helpful than I can, but I'm here with my family, so I can't complain too much.
And how is your family? You have a lovely wife, a great
Yes.
father and mother, and so how are they all doing?
They're doing very good. I'm right now spending time with my wife and one of my brothers. Um, this weekend, my mother and my father are actually driving up here, so I'm actually in Puerto Plata right now, and
Okay.
they're gonna spend the time with me. So, but we're all fine. I mean, again, we're all just home, eating more than we're used to, smoking more than we're used to, and probably drinking more than we're used to. So, not a bad deal. As long as you stay safe and you're home and you're not going out. Right now, we personally don't have a bad deal going on.
Yeah, it's funny. Like the situation made it. I think like most of the tobacco industry kind of realized like just how busy we all always are in the different areas of the industry and how we're always on the go. So
Mm-hmm.
having this big stop was shocking for like a couple of days. But like you said, it was like I had 3 trips planned for March, and I was going to be in Honduras, and then in Los Angeles, and then
I think
in
I was gonna be in
Vegas.
that Honduras trip with you, actually.
Okay, so
Yeah, I was gonna be in Honduras with you, and then on top of those trips, I also had Argentina, which I'm so bummed about. I was gonna be in Mendoza. That one really hit home when that one got canceled, and I was actually gonna go to Brazil as well. So I've had some very cool trips that I had planned that are canceled, work related, but nonetheless very very cool. We can see that
hopefully they'll
Davidoff Brazil just joined. Davidoff VR Brazil. So
We have our friend
um,
Eddie. We have a whole
yeah,
bunch of people. So Erica. So we have a nice crowd today.
yeah.
Um,
Because we canceled the Davidoff Brazil, we actually might be doing something with them as well, something live. So it's interesting how yes, we all has like taken a pause. We all are spending more time with our families, but for some reason, I feel like I'm working just as much, if not even more.
but
Uh,
it's good.
yeah.
It's like keeping busy, and it's also like teaching us that to get business done, you don't really have to do it the old school way of putting yourself in a plane and traveling miles and hours and hours and spending
Mhm.
the hotel fees and the food fees. And you can definitely get a lot more done almost with these like little live feeds or Zoom or virtual
Mhm.
herfs that are popping up. And I know the companies are getting innovative, and we're going to talk about how Davidoff is kind of getting innovative with the time and kind of using this opportunity not to kind of completely stop, but to kind of say like, how can we reach out to people on a broader scale using a digital platform, which I think
Yeah.
is awesome and cool.
I saw a meme. What was the meme? It said something like, "Oh, we're not gonna see what meetings could have been emails." Yeah.
Exactly. You know, this is
So
like,
do I really have to be in person on all of these? Do I really have to travel all over the world and be in person, or can we do some of these via Skype now? It will
exactly.
never be the same. I mean, in person is still the best, and I do love traveling, but it is pretty cool to see that I can do schedule a live interview with or a live VHERV with the UK guys. That's going to happen in a couple of weeks. I also have one scheduled with the Italians. So all of our partners from all over the world are reaching out in this time to do these different initiatives via virtual videos, and it's just awesome.
Definitely.
And you can't be everywhere at all times. So this is a great place. This is a great way to be in one place but be everywhere.
Yes. And I'm definitely hoping that once the coronavirus thing has leveled out and we can get back to some normalcy, which will never be the normal that we're used to, but a new normal, that these things will continue. That won't be just like a brief, like little blip on the timeline of when everybody got innovative and got online and did digital stuff. And then all of a sudden things went back to normal and everyone's like, we don't have time to do it. I hope we
Mhm.
keep doing these things to kind of keep up with each other. Cause it's nice, especially for people like you cause you can't be in two places at one time. So to be able to take an hour or 2 hours or however long it is to kind of reach out to people virtually on digital platforms like this and Facebook and Zoom and still do exactly what you would do and just, a little bit more prep, but still just as
It's the
effective.
same amount of prep. I mean, I do have my tripod, I got my microphone, but like you were saying, like, for me, I love this. I think we should continue this, even though even after all this is done, we should continue. I mean, I'm seeing so many friends join. Uh, I did mention Davidoff Brazil was there, but even Andre Caruso is there. The other Andre is still there. So you got all these people international from all over the world that are tuning in. People from the company, Erica, like you were saying. I mean, this is the way to catch up with your friends better than any other way.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what I wanted to do today is just, like I said, it's very informal. There's nothing big formal. That's why I didn't choose to do it on a magazine channel. But to catch up, but to also kind of reach out and, like I said, talk about Davidoff a little bit for people, because people are going to watch this and playbacks on Facebook. And I'm planning to take the audio out and make it so that people can listen to it, hopefully very soon, so it'll still be relevant. So I just wanted to kind of touch base, kind of get to know you a little bit more, kind of like I said, explore what you do at Davidoff. And I know you were kind of nervous about it, but delve into your hidden talents.
I don't know what hidden talents I have.
Well, and then
You'll let me know which ones they are.
yes, and then at the end, like for the last 15 minutes, I usually like to lighten the mood, because people are, I know it's like a serious time, really. I mean, we have friends in the tobacco industry who've had to come to a stop, really. And so it's kind of, like I said, weird, because it's like it's giving us time to regenerate and come up with new ideas to reach out, but at the same time it's really scary for a lot of people, because they're having to not to stop doing business, like our tobacconist friends, our retailers, to not be able to have an open lounge to invite people into it and to just not make money for 2 weeks or however long their individual cities are on stage. That's a big deal. That's like, you know, to overcome that in your budgeting when we're all business people in some sense, but to overcome that in your budget, you don't plan for it. And then to spend weeks and months perhaps trying to make up for that time is just a lot. So this is.
I am all down. I'm all down for lightening down the mood. You're making it, you know, very informal, as long as you don't make me sing.
No, that was Paul.
That's Paul.
That was Paul in our karaoke challenge, which was very interesting.
That was very impressive, though. Very impressive.
Didn't know how that was going to go, but it was definitely very entertaining. And I'm sure when we have Tiffany on, we're going to be doing something musical related. So, but you're going to be spared for that. You don't have to worry.
Thank you.
I'm changing it up for everybody. I'm making the lightning challenges a little bit catered to who you are. So I have something fun planned, but it won't be that. So I guess just to start off, I mean, just tell us a little bit about you growing up in the tobacco industry. Because I'm curious to know, like, how people like you who have these families who are like histories in tobacco, and then you choose yourself. Like, you know, you have all these choices of what to do, and you decide to go into the industry as well. So I'm just curious to see what your thought process was, or your journey.
For Ben, he asked what we're smoking. So I'm smoking Davidoff Robusto. Keep it in the family, you could say. I am third generation. I'm third generations in the tobacco industry. Born from a Dutch family, half Dutch, half Dominican, and basically from my father's side, we were tobacco people, and from my mother's side, we were farmers, agriculture. That included rice, coffee, cattle as well, many little other things as well, but mainly rice, coffee, and cattle. When my grandfather from my father's side moved to the Dominican Republic, he married a Dominican woman. He never looked back, but he wasn't the only person that basically worked in tobacco in the family. We all worked in tobacco, so there was almost no option. And at that moment, you got my grandfather, his brother, his other brother, and the other brother. There were 4 brothers. 2 of them moved to the Dominican Republic, 2 moved to Brazil, all worked to work in tobacco. And they all worked for competing companies. So that's very interesting. You know, everybody working in tobacco, but everybody being, you could say, competition out in the market for the same clients. And it's interesting because when it was dinner time and they were sitting at the dinner table, there was always a little bit of conflict because, you know, you couldn't talk about work over dinner. When you're family, you couldn't talk about work. So my grandfather always told my dad that he wasn't too sure if my father should work in tobacco. And he actually would suggest my father against working in tobacco. Now you look where we are at now and you would say, thank God, right? That would have been a crazy decision to not have worked in tobacco. But my father, it's a long story, but my father ended up working in tobacco. And not only that, but his cousins also ended up working tobacco. So all my uncles, my cousins, all work in tobacco. And when you grow up in a family that all we do is tobacco, we enjoy cigars, when we start attending events like these, you just start falling in love with it. My father, obviously very different time in the 90s, middle of the boom, as a little kid, my father would take me to so many events, so many dinners with clients, with retailers. You know, the famous Viaje al Origen trip that you've been on, we started those back in 1994. Wow. So every time there was a group that was coming, I would attend all the dinners. And my father would give me the microphone and he would tell me, I'm 5 years old, 6 years old, and he would hand over the microphone and he's like, Klaas, say hello, welcome the people to our country, tell them that you're thankful that they're here. And I would have to grab the microphone in front of 50 people, 40 people, and say hello as a 6-year-old, you know. So he introduced me into the industry at a very, very young age. And not only would I attend the dinners and the parties, but then I would also attend the factory tours and the farm tours. Sometimes my parents would even take me out of school so I could go to the farm with the groups and learn the tour, learn all the little steps and all the little processes. So you could say that it kind of was drilled into me from a very young age, and I didn't know any other thing. I just loved it from the beginning. There was no option. There was no second option in my mind. And I always knew I was going to be in it. And then with these seminars, I would attend them every single year. 2015 came along. I turned, 2005 came along. I was 15 years old. And at that age, my father would ask me, he's like, do you still want to work in tobacco? Are you sure? You're 15? Like, now is the time to start deciding what you want to do? And I was like, yeah, I want to work in tobacco. So next year he would ask me again on my birthday. He's like, Klaas, are you sure you want to work in tobacco? I was like, yep, I want to work in tobacco. And at the age of 17, I remember that was the last time my dad asked me if I wanted to work in tobacco. He's like, are you sure? Are you definite? Your last chance. So you got to go to college. It's like, yep, I want to go to tobacco. So he literally sat me down on the table and started writing things down. He's like, okay, so you're going to have to study something around this line. Then you're going to have to work in the factory in every single place for this long, more or less. Then I want you to travel the world and visit the market so you can actually get to know the market. And to this day, I'm now 29 years old. I have pretty much followed that to a T. And I think it's gotten me in a good place. So following my dad's advice was very important.
It's funny because we, on our end, we acquired a couple magazines. That's all been on our website. And one of those magazines was Tobacconist magazine. And I was going through one of the boxes and I opened it up and it was an old issue of Tobacconist. And it was, Abba was on the cover and it was taken at the field. And I was looking through the picture and I was like, there goes Klaas. It was like, young Klaas. Like,
that's Heritage, right? That's the one like, for Heritage. I kid you not, I was not even an employee of the company at the time.
And I was like, it was like playing like Where's Waldo. It was like, there's Klaas. Oh my God.
There's like 50 people behind Avo. So you got Avo in a white suit in the sun with his hat. And then you got my dad to a side. You got Eladio to the other side. You got my older brother who was working at the company at the time. And then you got some other, Peralta as well. And then you got some other people behind it. And many of them don't even work for the company back then. But for some reason, I really don't know what happened. But for some reason, they told me to go. And the photographer is there. The people doing the campaign are there. And it's like, yeah, Klaas, you get in there. And I just lined up right behind my father, like with glasses, because at the time I used to wear glasses.
Yeah.
I got the LASIK operation. And there was the glasses that turned dark with the sun. So it looked like I'm wearing like sunglasses. And I was not even working for the company, and I got into the ad, and my face was put everywhere around the world. I don't know, when did Heritage come out? That was a long time ago. I was like in high school, I think.
So
yeah.
Diana asked, did you regret your decision or wish you would have pursued something else, I guess, of entering the business?
Oh yeah, no, I don't regret my decision at all. I love this industry. This is so much fun. There's two aspects, because I'm in a very interesting position, because I have the factory farm side, and then I have the marketing sales side, that I'm out in the market traveling all over the world. And I can tell you that what I love the most is definitely like the magic that happens when you are in the farm, when you are harvesting the tobacco, when you're seeing creation happen. You planted a seed and it just grew. And the fact that it grows so fast, and in literally a couple months, you're done. So you see this little dust of a seed just grow into a plant that is, sometimes twice your height or your height, and it's 20 million times the original weight of that seed. And for me, that's magic. Seeing something that you create grow like that, and then you taking care of it, it's almost like it's your little baby. And I had worked the farm a couple of years, and going there on a weekly basis, 2-3 times a week. And for me, that's the magic. But that doesn't take away from being out in the markets, because the other side of the industry is the people. And this industry would not be the same without the people that are in it. When you travel and you see everybody that is so passionate about another creation that you're doing. Now we're talking about cigars, you know. I mean, some people kill for these things and they love it so much that they would kill for a limited edition that they can't get their hands on, you know, and they are so passionate about it. And I love to see how thankful they are for the work that we do down in the factory. And being able to transmit what we do down in the factory and be an ambassador for what we do in the factory, for me, that also fills my heart. So I really, really enjoy the market side, the people side of the industry.
And I definitely, from having gone on the trip last year, you know, I definitely see that passion, because you definitely are like a great host. And I always talk about that trip. Probably for me was like the moment where a lot of light bulbs kind of went off for me, because I got to see the process for the first time. That was my first trip to the Dominican Republic. You know, I've gone a couple more times.
But you were spoiled.
I know. And
that's like a great way to start.
Exactly. So, you know, I've done Pro Cigar and stuff like that, but to have like a whole week with like one company where you really go through all the different parts of the company, and you see the process, and you get to meet the people there at the factory, because, you know, there's the USA side, of course, or wherever people are from, like there's a team there in the country, but to see that Dominican team and how it's made is a completely different process. And I wanted to bring up that trip too, because I know we did an interview with your dad at that trip. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time, like, to be able to interview your dad is like, I mean, it's pretty up there on the scales of for anybody in the media, or who to interview. It's like, it was like your to-do, you know, that's, I can't even think of anything comparable. So I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is like a big to-do. But I remember we asked him a question about, like, how does he feel about you being in the industry? Mm-hmm. And I know you were like surprised by what he said, but to me, it captured what, you know, like everything that you do, because when you're in the industry and you're doing your work, you're kind of focused on what you're doing, and you don't know how other people are interpreting that, or if they're even noticing it. But especially for you, I'm sure to hear your father kind of go off on that. And I'm going to read a short thing about what he said about you.
Oh, please do. I remember I got emotional. I remember it was emotional.
So this was the issue of the magazine. It was our IPCR issue last year. You know, your dad is right there. Mm-hmm. So we did an article, and the question was, how does it feel to have Klaas so heavily involved in the industry now? He said, I'm very proud of Klaas. He has too much knowledge for only 28 years of age. This is part of the family. Klaas has tobacco in his blood. For you to understand tobacco, you must love tobacco. Most importantly, Klaas started from the bottom. He went away to the U.S. for university and came back to the company to work for a minimum salary. So that just gives you like a teeny tiny little taste. And if people want to see, because it was a long quote, it's probably like the longest quote in here of any question we asked. I mean, it goes on for like, really like like half a page. So it's a good quote. And I encourage people to go to tobaccobusiness.com and look up Klaas and Kelner, search it for, and I'm sure the article will come up. But to hear that from your dad, I know you were kind of surprised, because you were like, oh, really? Like that's what you noticed.
Mm-hmm. He does notice. Tear.
I know.
You know, it's very interesting, because me, my family, my father has given a great opportunity to all my siblings. So we're 6, and my biggest brother, Hendrik, has his own factory, a counter boutique factory. Then you have my 2 sisters. One of them grows tobaccos, is also a tobacco broker. My other sister works with Swisher Dominicana. Also has been involved with other little cigars in the local market. And then you have me in Davidoff. You have my younger brother, who's Marco, who works in ASP Enterprises in the sorting of tobacco for Connecticut wrapper from Ecuador. And then you have my other youngest brother, who right now is 18, who's still studying, but you never know where he's going to end up. Maybe tobacco, you never know. And most likely, maybe. And not to put any pressure on him. But it's when when you have that kind of pressure, you know, that everybody's doing it, it's sometimes people think that it's it's rough, that it might be hard, that you are kind of forced into it. But my father always gave us the choice. And what my father has been really good about is that he always has supported us in everything that we want to do. And not only that, but he becomes a mentor in every single one of these little steps. And you do know that he notices, and he doesn't treat you as like just your dad. He doesn't treat you in any way, even if you work with him, he doesn't treat you like as a boss. He treats you as a mentor. And I think that's the best part. He treats you as a friend, and he wants you to evolve as your own character. And it's when he told me that I wanted that I was going to come back to the Dominican Republic after I studied, and I was going to work in the factory, and that possibility was there. He did put me, and what I mean, the quote says it, he did put me like a minimum salary, and the worst salary in the company out of 1,500 people. And for a year and a half, I mean, I even swept the floors. I carried bales. I was going out into the farm, fermentation for hours on end. I would get home at 6 o'clock in the afternoon with dust and dirt in my hair and my ears. I'm like, how did this even get here? You know? But actually having gone through that turmoil, that you could say that hardship of actually working hard, you appreciate it more. And then you can actually communicate more with the people that are actually doing that job on a daily basis. Because if you don't do it, then you don't understand what your employees, what your other people in these other locations are going through. And then you can't, you know, relate.
Definitely think so. Because I definitely see that. I mean, maybe you'll be humble when I say this, but I definitely see you as kind of like the next generation, part of the next generation of this industry, because you know your stuff, you know tobacco, and you spend a lot of time, I know, going over blends. So you're already kind of, to me, taking those steps that it's going to take to become the next generation. You know, hopefully 20 or 30 or 40 years from now, we're going to be sitting here saying, remember when we did that Instagram live feed, and Instagram and phones are going to be like so archaic, and they'll just be like on Star Trek or Star Wars. It'll be just like click
like a hologram.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, yeah, I remember. You know, so I definitely think, like I said, you're going to be that next generation in the industry that's going to keep this going, because you have the passion and the knowledge that, you know, a lot of people, you know, don't. So
I appreciate it.
I definitely look forward to seeing how you continue that, and how you continue to push the Davidoff brand and everything else. And
that's the plan, you know. Like, there's nothing that's going to take me away from this industry. I can assure you that. And being part of that younger generation, we have a lot on our shoulders. We have big shoes to fill. I mean, these industry greats, not just my father, all these other people that made establishments, that made institutions out of these other brands in different countries. I mean, it gets harder and harder as the time goes on. The industry gets harder, the legislations get harder from different countries, and it's our job to keep it alive. And we have to fight, not only in all these other countries, but we have to fight also in our country, and with trade agreements and with the legislations, to make sure that we can keep up the production of cigars up. We can keep up the agricultural side, the production of tobacco, because not only are we creating beautiful cigars for people to enjoy all over the world, but we are supporting an economic structure that involves so many people, that involves so many workers, direct and indirect. In the Dominican Republic, there's like 120,000, 130,000 direct employees linked to tobacco. Imagine all the indirect, you know, and we have to support them as well, because this is part of our history and it's part of our culture. That's so all on us.
I know, that's a lot, which means, like, it kind of brings us to our next topic, which is, you know, having to switch gears and having to adapt basically to the situation so that you keep business going, that you keep the brands going. So like coronavirus has, like I said, when we first started talking, this made a lot of business kind of come to a halt. And so companies are having to get innovative and figure out ways to keep things going, to keep the brands alive, to just promote everything. And I think Davidoff is doing a really cool thing in April with basically a virtual seminar. It's kind of open to everybody. So if you just tell us a little bit about that and what we can expect, how can we prepare for it, you know, a little bit.
So in regards to that particular seminar that we're going to be doing, that is a seminar that is going to be held by myself and also Jeff Stone, so one of the other brand ambassadors here located in the United States. And that particular seminar, we are going to be focusing on Winston Churchill. So we're going to be doing Winston Churchill and also Winston Churchill late hour, the late hour. We will also have pairing options to give you, and we are giving you enough time in advance because we have started with all these initiatives to bring cigars to you at home through live videos, through different interviews, through different little activities that are we going to be doing through virtual. But the reason why we announced this one was such a heads up is because this one is going to be a little bit more formal, and there are even going to be some slides that we're going to be able to share our screen with the viewers and show you slides on different little things about the manufacturing process, the barrel aging process of the late hour. So we're going to show you a little bit of all of this on the screen as well. It's not just listening to us talking. And the other cool thing is that because we give you enough time, you have time to prepare, and you can actually all join us, get the cigars, and be part of it. What is really cool is that even though so many stores have had to shut down, there's still a lot of appointed merchants near you that might still do curbside pickup. A lot of appointed merchants, local stores are still doing delivery. And if you don't have an appointed merchant near you, you can always buy online. And at Davidoff, we have kept the online store open, so you can go on us.davidoffgeneva.com and actually order the cigars. And there's actually a little promo going on that if you buy the cigars, you're also going to get a little Winston Churchill passport with the tasting notes and everything, so you can follow along, and sometimes other little goodies. All just to promote these types of seminars that we have been wanting to do forever. It's just we never pulled the trigger. You know, it's so hard to get everybody on board with, oh, you're going to have to order the cigars and you're going to have to sign in all from your home at such a 1 hour of a specific day so that we can do this formal seminar online. And we never pulled the trigger. And guess what? Now we have been, in a way, almost forced to pull the trigger. But we've been thinking about this for many, many years. I've been wanting to do the tongue tasting that we do in Dominican Republic for many years. But that is a very specific tongue tasting that we have to ship a very specific set of cigars for.
Right.
So not something that everybody can join just on their own, because you can just join if you have the cigars at home.
So going off of that, what I wanted to do is have like a little mini, not version of that, but to have you talk a little bit, because we're all stuck at home for the most part, unless you're in a city that miraculously is free from coronavirus, which doesn't seem to be a lot of them. And people are looking for things to do, you know, at the end of the day or maybe in the middle of the day, depending on who you are, to basically make a pairing of their own. So especially with speaking about Davidoff, like how would you go about, you're smoking a Yamasa right now, which we talked about last night because I wanted to do that one because I know your dad felt very passionate about that cigar. People want to know, when is that online seminar? What date?
I'm actually right now. It's sometime in April. Right now, I think it's the 7th.
I think so too.
I think
we're going to send out in Tobacco Business and Cigars and Leisure are going to send out an email about it to all of our email subscribers. So we're going to help promote it, and it's going to be on our social media and website.
I have seminars almost on a daily basis. So I will be doing, on top of that formal one, I think Eddie just said April 7th, so we were both correct. I am doing also on Davidoff Cigars 3 times a week, little on live versions of things, and I'm also going to be tuning in with people from UK, from Italy, Brazil, and doing other little seminars. So I have so many dates in my mind right now that I need to count.
I know.
But yeah, the 7th is the one for the formal one with Jeff Stone.
Yes, April 7th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, Eddie. So how would you go about pairing or figuring out a nice drink to go with Yamasa? What's the thought process behind that?
I mean, if you are a cigar aficionado and you always put the cigar as a priority, you start first with the cigar. So you choose the cigar and then you choose the drink. Hi, Christian. I get questions on my side too, and everybody's saying hello. Um, if you are not focusing on the cigar and you have no option, let's say it's the other way around, that they gave you a drink and then you have all the option in the world for cigars. Sometimes that's what happens to me. I have my humidor with a huge selection and then I get a drink given to me, and I've never had this drink. It might be a limited edition or something, and then I have to choose the cigar to the drink. So you can either choose the drink to the cigar or you can choose the cigar to the drink, depending on what situation you are. But the most important thing is trying to understand your palate when you have either the cigar or you have the drink. So you might be aware that my father and I focus a lot on total palate stimulation. That is the theory. Total palate stimulation, meaning that every area of your palate is being stimulated. Say sweet is in the tip of your tongue, you have salty in the lateral front, you have acid in the lateral back, and you have bitter towards the back. In the center, you have a mixture, well, there's different theories, but you have a mixture of all these taste buds, and it creates the sensation of what some people might call savory or umami. So that's kind of spicy. And you basically have to say, okay, well, this is the way I do it. From 1 to 10, how sweet is this cigar? How much is stimulating in the front? From 1 to 10, how bitter is this cigar? From 1 to 10, how acidic? From 1 to 10, how spicy? And I assign numbers to each one of the areas of your palate, and I'm trying to guarantee that as we make a blend or we decide on a blend, we are making sure that all the areas of your palate are being stimulated in one way or another, so that not one area is missing and the cigar is not boring or the cigar is not one-dimensional. Because when you're able to create a stimulation throughout all your palate, then you have more complexity. So when we analyze the Yamasa cigar, so let's start by analyzing the Yamasa cigar. Yamasa is predominantly, well, you could say the feature of this cigar is the two tobaccos, the wrapper and the binder, which are Yamasa. So Yamasa tobacco is sweet and spicy. So it's very front of the palate. However, we do very well with the blend that we balance it out with also a Piloto and Estelí from Nicaragua. So those two tobaccos stimulate in the back and give you those wooden notes. Earthy wooden notes, stronger bitter notes. Then in the center of your palate, you have Condega as well on top of the Yamasa. Condega is also very woody, and it also has a little bit of spices. And then on the sides, you have two San Vicentes, one from Jicome and the other one from Damahagua. So you have two San Vicentes from two different soils that stimulate here. One more like a lemon and the other one more like an orange. So you have these, the whole area covered. Now you have to say which one is more. So this cigar is predominantly sweet and spicy, but it is complemented in the back. The cigar is also a medium to full cigar. It's very powerful, has tobaccos from Visus and higher up, and you're gonna get enough intensity. So you don't. So now we kind of have analyzed it a little bit of how the cigar is, and then you say, now I have to choose a drink. I gotta find a drink that is gonna stimulate in the similar areas in a similar fashion. So for example, you have, I like to normally pair with bourbon. And bourbon is sweet and spicy. Bourbon has a lot of corn in it, that stimulation in the front of the palate. And then I want to pick a bourbon that is not too powerful so that it doesn't overpower my cigar. Interestingly enough, a week ago, I had another online, and I was having Yamasa. I was actually with the virtual HERF with developing palates and coupe that like everybody in the cigar industry went on. So we were all like smoking something different. We were all trying something different. It was a mess. So many people trying to put in their input. And I was actually having it with Being kind of like a limited edition that they have. It's a signature craft 12-year. So this one goes very well, and that's exactly what I'm having right now. But because I wanted to switch it up, I went into my, you could say my stock, and I wanted to try and get something more special. So I started with the cigar, and I tried to look for different drinks. What happened was, it's like, well, I've actually never had this one. This was a gift. And this is Bunnahaven 2008, but it's like a limited edition from their Octave series. And this is 1 out of 76 bottles. And it was bottled in 2017, 9 years in oak cask, and then 6 years in with sherry cask, used sherry cask. So I read the description. I was like, well, it has sherry, so it might be sweeter, so it might work, right? And I opened it. I had a little sip, and I immediately noticed it was too bitter. It was very powerful, 52.1% alcohol, so over 100% proof, and it was very smoky. So at that moment, when I was tasting all these other options I had to pair with my Yamasa, I ended up going all the way back to the original bourbon I had. So I was looking for something that was going to match the areas of stimulation, but also not overpower it. And that was a long description, but I hope everybody that's listening understood.
Well, that's a good primer. Like I said, I know people are going to get a lot more of that, but specifically with the Winston Churchill lines and the April 7th at 8 o'clock online seminar that we're hyping up, because I think it's going to be a really cool experience for people to kind of really tap into and get to hear a bit more about that. I think pairings are always, they're very popular in the industry, but everybody has their own way of doing them. Yes. But especially right now with quarantine, when you don't have anything else to do, I'm sure they're becoming a lot more popular. So people have a lot more time to experiment, which brings me to our lightning round.
Oh God. This is what I've been worried about.
So I thought it would be cool. Now, I know you weren't prepared for this. But this is a way for us to kind of expose people to the Davidoff portfolio of different cigars that maybe they should try. Tell us what they think of some different pairing ideas. And by the way, hello, Dylan. Hello, Paul. They're all watching. They say hello, but I didn't want to interrupt you talking. So just want to say hello to them. But a way for us to kind of do like a lightning round of talk about some, or just mentioning some different cigars in the Davidoff portfolio that maybe people haven't tried yet, that maybe they can go to their local tobacconist, like you said, and kind of try out based on their local tobacconist hours right now. So I have some different spirits by me.
Okay.
And I just thought what I'll do is hold them up. And you don't have to tell me like based on the brand. I know we should, but this was like lightning round. So if you say, oh, it's a bourbon, maybe a Davidoff something, 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 we'll go good with that one. Just to kind of give people an idea of different pairings, but also different cigars to kind of try out. Because like I said, quarantine is going to add for this period right now, it's going to last a little bit longer for some of us, weeks or even a month. I know our city put us under a month-long stay in your house order, which is not fun. So people have time to experiment and day drink. So not that I want to encourage that. So drink responsibly. I have to start off with that. But I'm going to hold up a different drink. You just tell me what you think will be maybe a cigar to try with it. Maybe it's not the best pairing, but it's something to experiment with, something for people to have fun with at home. So are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay. So I have
Moët Champagne. Davidoff number 2 or Davidoff 2000 signature line. It's gonna be nice and acidic here, and it's definitely gonna pair very well. Your San Vicente is gonna do very, very well, and these cigars are also lighter, so they won't fight your champagne.
Okay.
Early in the morning start, maybe with a mimosa even.
And we have Absolute Lime.
Absolute. Ooh, lime. Interesting, with lime.
I want to throw in some curveballs.
Yeah, because it has lime, I might stir you in Escurio direction. Maybe a cocktail with Escurio, in something that adds a little bit of spice or or has that sweetness.
Okay.
Tequila. Oh my goodness! Now, 1800. If I was gonna use tequila for Escurio, but you threw me that curveball. I would substitute the vodka for maybe like an aniversario, and then I would throw the tequila in with the Escurio. Aniversario line. Let's give you a specific one. How about something like a special tea? This is bourbon.
Yes. Kentucky
Bourbon.
straight bourbon whiskey.
If it's bourbon, I would. Every cigar goes with tequila, says Dylan. If it's bourbon, shoot for Yamasa, 100%, all the time.
How about
Alberto says every single one. Alberto is the biggest proponent of tequila in the world. What is this?
this is Captain Morgan's Cannon Blast, an intensely delicious shot.
Spicy.
Caribbean rum with spice and natural
It's spiced
flavors.
rum.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's spiced, I would tell you Nicaragua box press. If it wasn't spiced, I would tell you normal Nicaragua. Because it's spiced, I'm telling you box press. Robusto. Gin. I would say Aniversario number 3. Aniversario number 3. Yeah, that's the one that's good. That one goes well. Cocktail.
This is my last curveball.
Soda.
So this is a Coke with a hint of orange and vanilla.
With a hint of orange and vanilla. How about a limited edition? You're the pick. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. It would have to be something sweet. Try to match. Or you could do it with something very bitter and really contrast that. So I would say one of our stronger cigars is probably Late Hour. His hand hits in the back. Or maybe you might want to do a little shot of espresso, like the limited edition Late Hour from 2020, the new one that we just did, the little short filler one. If you ever get your hands on that, that's a little shot of espresso. It's super strong in the back of your palate, and it's gonna really balance that sweetness from a Coke.
Well, that was all my pairings. See, it wasn't so bad. It was a nice, fun way to kind of explore the Davidoff portfolio in a formal educational way.
Again, there's 2 types of pairings. There's the
We're gonna do a shot of bourbon. You just keep talking.
There's 2 ways of pairings. There's the type of pairing that hits the same area of stimulation. So let's say if I have something that hits me in the back of your palate, a cigar that's very bitter, it's very woody, very earthy, then you might want to pair it with something that also hits back in the palate, like a coffee, an espresso, something that is very smoky maybe. And then you match the areas of stimulation. But the other type of pairing is if you have something that is overwhelmingly sweet, like a soda, then you try to complement it and balance out your palate. Because now when we're talking about something like soda, it is so sweet that if you put something else sweet on it, it's gonna tire your palate. So you might want to fight against it so that your palate feels nice and even. I have a friend that he loves the Serrano.
I have that. I thought about bringing it, and I was like, no, let's not do it.
and he loves having very strong cigars with the Serrano, and it's all he does. And the first time I had it, I was with him. I was like, I don't understand why you like this. But then the more I think about it, especially when you are somebody that are not used to very strong cigars, or you're beginning, then maybe you don't want that bitter on bitter, and you want to reduce the intensity of that bitterness of that strong cigar with something that is sweet, like a cocktail or something that is just sweet on its own.
So Paul said, what would go good with apple pie moonshine? Of course, he would ask that.
Well, if we gotta go with Paul, we can tell Paul that everything goes great with Escurio because that's his favorite cigar. Just say Escurio all the time, and then we win with Paul, right?
Yes. So we actually have 10 minutes left, which is cool. So your hidden talents. What Ben's favorite question for people always is, what do you like to do when you're not working? What's your downtime activity?
My hidden talent, when I am in my parents' house, I love in the mornings waking everybody up with, maybe they hate me for this, but I love waking everybody up with playing the piano.
That's what I was hoping you would say,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
when we were in the Dominican Republic, and hi, David, thanks for tuning in, but when we were in the Dominican Republic, I remember we had that dinner. I think it was the last night.
White dinner, yeah. There was a piano on the last dinner.
Yeah, and we walk out of this nice, dinner and stuff, and Klaas just sits down randomly and just starts playing One Republic, Apologize, this classy, like, piano rendition, like it was nothing. And he's like, oh, never mind, people. I'm just like a novice. Like, I'm just like, piano's not my thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, everybody was like that. And we all recorded it. It was like this like great moment. And you were just so modest about it. You're like, oh, I don't, I don't play. I play a little bit here and there. And I was like, really?
I started playing the piano at the age of 16. The story actually goes, it's an Avo story. So Avo, you know that he started off in Puerto Rico, and that's where he started off with his cigars. Avo had a client because he used to sell real estate from the piano bar where he worked at in San Juan. So he was playing piano at the bar, and then he had real estate on top of the piano. And he had one client that was a friend and also in some ways an investor to my father's factory, Davidoff at the time. And basically they got introduced, and Avo started basically going to the factory and grabbing cigars, putting them in his luggage and taking them to Puerto Rico, and then play the piano at the bar, sell real estate, and then also sell cigars off the piano. Some years later, Avo goes slowly gets bigger, gets into New York, starts expanding, and then during the boom time, he actually sells to Davidoff. Davidoff buys him off. Avo gets royalties, and he stays on as the face of the brand. So the moment that check hit for the buying, when they bought the brand, Avo immediately bought a very nice, expensive piano. And he had his old piano that we called Avo's poor piano. And Avo had nothing to do with it. So in thanks to my father to making him grow in the cigar business, Avo had the piano delivered from Puerto Rico to the Dominican Republic. And they put the piano in my house. I was 6 years old. And the piano stayed there for 10 years and nobody played it. Avo would come once a month and he would play it. So he just wanted to have his piano at my father's house so that he could play whenever he was home. And it's a funny story. I traveled to France for a summer camp to learn French. And when I'm there, it's a summer camp of like 300 kids. Every house where we're staying has a piano. And out of these 300 kids, there was like 5 people that played the piano. And every time one of these 5 people played the piano, if it was a girl, all the boys would just go. And if it was a boy, all the girls would go and listen to this guy play the piano. And I'm just saying, really? I've had a piano in my house for 10 years. And this is how you get girls? If I would have known, So I come back from the summer camp and I just went in and I just started playing piano 3 hours, 4 hours a day. And I did that for almost like 4 years back to back, every single day playing the piano. And interestingly enough, that's one of the ways I conquered my wife, I like to believe. I wrote a song for her and everything. And when I actually proposed to her, I played the piano for her as well.
What song did you play?
I started first with Apologize, everything, the traditional, and then I played a song that I composed myself.
Wow.
And then I proposed.
You stepped it up.
Yeah, so I had to step it up a little bit.
Set the bar high for everybody.
So that is one of my hidden talents, and I love the piano wherever it is. Sadly enough, I travel so much that I don't get to play on a regular basis, but I still play every time I get the chance, every time I see a piano. And I've never been taught by a teacher, just self-taught.
Well, so if you come to TPE next year, which I know we're talking about, I know Ben wants to put together a band of people from the industry. So I think he'll recruit you to play the piano in this makeshift band.
I'm down. I mean, I don't know if you saw, but for Pro Cigar, all of the manufacturers joined in, and we played when the FDA was big. Like I think it was like 2017 or 2016. This whole issue was coming up. Tony went up and played the drums. I went up there, I played the piano. Abe from Abraham Flores, he played the bass, and we made this makeshift band, and we played three songs, and we started with "We're Not Gonna Take It." Oh no, we ain't gonna. And it was against the FDA. It was beautiful. So we can redo that at TPE if you want.
Oh yeah,
we just need a little bit of practice.
Ben has been wanting to do this thing for like years. Every year we get around to it, and it's like the Saturday Night Live skit with the cowbell. Ben is like, what if we put together a band? We're like, okay, stop. What if we put together a band from the industry and we all play at the Tobacco Business Awards on the night? We're like, stop.
It's horrible. So, I mean, it's by the ear, it sounds amazing. When you film it and then you hear back, I mean, the amount of mistakes that we do and the amount of fun that we have up there on stage is just ridiculous. But it's all over the place.
Well, Ben is watching, so we're going to put that together maybe for TPE 2021. It'll be a special event within itself.
And I hear that Paul wants to do the vocals.
Yes, I see that too. So, and a lot of people are all for it right now. So, so you might have just gotten yourself a new gig. So you better practice up.
I'll do it for free cigars.
Well, we're running out of time. I want to say thank you so much for doing this. I think we all learned a lot, especially the pairing, taking us through the process. That was very interesting. That's always what I'm curious about, because as you see, all the spirits I showed you came from my collection, and that's just like a small portion of the collection. So I'm always sitting there looking at them going like, how would you actually pair that? So now at least I have a little bit of an idea of how to get the start. And like I said,
if you can't figure out what to pair with vodka, make it into a cocktail.
Yes.
Add the sweet yourself. Add the bitters yourself. Right. And complement it. And you're always going to enhance the experience.
Well, like I said, I want to remind everybody again who's listening that we have Davidoff has a great seminar coming up on April the 7th at 8 p.m. So definitely get ready for that. Tune in for it. Get your Davidoff cigars, your Winston Churchills for that. So we're definitely going to hype that up, like I said, through all of our channels. And always, it's fun to talk to you, Klaas. I had a great time seeing you at Pro Cigar a couple weeks ago. Like, luckily, it all was before the coronavirus. So we got in just under the wire, it seems like, with that. So I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Like I said, I know we're working on some stuff for TPE 2021, so I hope we can get that worked out. And I plan to have a few other Davidoff people on these little live shows as we wait out the stay-of-home orders to kind of run out. But hopefully this will become a regular thing throughout the year, virus or no virus.
And so Eddie, let's keep this going.
Eddie and Dylan, you all are going to get your moment. So be ready, because you're going to get asked. But thank you again so much, Klaas.
Thank you.
Hope people follow Klaas on Instagram. He's always educational. And until next time.
Take care, guys. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.